calling them toxic as if her fans, because KTV is a Caitlin Clark fan. She's my favorite basketball player to watch, male or female.
The WNBA just erupted into chaos. Stephanie White, head coach of the Indiana Fever, didn't just speak, she declared fans toxic. And not just any fans, but the passionate, devoted supporters of Caitlin Clark, one of the biggest stars the league has ever seen. Social media immediately lit up with outrage. Comments, threads, and videos poured in, condemning White's remarks. For fans, this wasn't an accidental slip, it was deliberate, a targeted attack that undermined the very audience fueling the league's unprecedented rise. Clark's arrival transformed the WNBA, turning average attendance numbers into sellout crowds, bringing new media attention, and creating a fan base that rivals any star in professional basketball, male or female. White's comments didn't just feel dismissive, they felt like a slap in the face. Fans who have spent years supporting the league, attending games, watching broadcasts, and investing emotionally were suddenly being blamed for toxicity, while real league problems went ignored. What makes this situation explosive isn't just the statement itself, it's the context behind it. White's words aren't in isolation. They're part of a pattern of behavior where she has consistently minimized Clark's contributions while spotlighting other players, suggesting the Fever's main focus should be Kelsey Mitchell. For months, insiders have whispered about this bias, hinting at tension beneath the surface, tension that has finally boiled over. Now, fans are demanding accountability. Calls for White's removal flooded social media platforms. Analysts, former players, and journalists began dissecting every word of her interview with Subud's podcast, identifying how her selective criticism ignored league-wide issues. This is not just drama, it's a reckoning, a moment where fan power meets league authority, and the fans are making it clear they will not be silenced. The WNBA, at this very moment, is at a crossroads, and the question is clear. Will the league stand with its fans or alienate them further? Stephanie White's coaching career has been scrutinized for years, but recent events have amplified attention to a pattern that insiders describe as consistently dismissive and divisive. As head coach of the Indiana Fever, she was expected to build a strong team dynamic, foster player development, and maintain positive relationships with fans. Yet, White has repeatedly downplayed Caitlin Clark's significance despite Clark being the primary catalyst for the Fever's resurgence. Clark's impact cannot be overstated. The moment she joined the league, attendance numbers surged, social media engagement skyrocketed, and national media coverage intensified. Yet, White seemed intent on portraying Kelsey Mitchell as the team's priority. Interviews, press conferences, and offhand remarks often hinted at this favoritism, creating friction among fans who clearly recognized Clark's singular influence on the league. It's important to understand that this is not a one-time issue. Sources close to the team suggest that White's behavior reflects a broader pattern of resistance to acknowledging Clark's value. Industry insiders claim that she reluctantly conceded Clark's importance only after mounting pressure, framing it as a reluctant acknowledgement rather than genuine recognition. This reveals a calculated effort to control the narrative while minimizing the contributions of the league's rising superstar. White's repeated underestimation of Clark had consequences. It fueled speculation, fan frustration, and public debates about the league's internal politics. Critics argue that such selective acknowledgement undermines not only Clark's reputation but also the morale of the fan base that has supported her so vigorously. As this tension simmered, White's recent comments, labeling fans as toxic, became the spark that ignited a firestorm. Fans and analysts alike began to question the motives behind her statements. Was it genuine concern about toxicity in the league, or was it an intentional attempt to shift attention away from the structural and player-based problems that had been ignored for too long? This question forms the crux of the controversy and sets the stage for the ongoing clash between leadership, fans, and the undeniable influence of Caitlin Clark. The fan reaction was instantaneous and overwhelming. Social media platforms erupted with anger, with thousands of posts calling out White for her divisive remarks. Many fans highlighted the glaring hypocrisy in her statements, pointing out that the league's most dedicated supporters, those who attend games, buy merchandise, and actively promote the WNBA, were being unfairly blamed for toxicity. Caitlin Clark's fan base is not ordinary. They are highly engaged, vocal, and passionate. They have watched Clark face relentless physical targeting on the court, aggressive fouling, and unfair officiating, all while building the Fever's reputation and the league's visibility. Yet, White chose to label these supporters toxic instead of addressing the deeper issues that contributed to a tense environment. Fans began sharing examples of double standards in the league, from players publicly disrespecting supporters to allegations of fake racial investigations. These incidents were overlooked by White, while her comments focused on the very fans who were the lifeblood of the WNBA. This fueled the perception that White's remarks were selective, targeted, and potentially strategic. Designed to deflect criticism from players and organizational mismanagement, the outrage extended beyond social media. Pundits, former players, and commentators joined the conversation, emphasizing the contradiction between the Fever's reliance on Clark's drawing power and White's public dismissal of her impact. Calls for accountability and removal of White from her coaching position gained momentum, showing that fans are not just passive observers, they are now active participants demanding fairness, transparency, and recognition. This level of backlash illustrates a critical point. Fan engagement has power. White's comments ignited more than controversy. They mobilized a movement. A growing coalition of supporters, analysts, and insiders is now questioning the leadership of the WNBA, highlighting the delicate balance between maintaining fan trust and addressing league integrity. Fans made it clear their loyalty cannot be exploited or dismissed. The league's credibility now hinges on how it responds. Stephanie White claimed her goal was to change the toxicity around the league, a statement that, on the surface, might sound noble. Reducing toxicity is certainly a positive aim in any sport, but context matters, and in this case, it completely changes the story. Her comments were aimed squarely at the fans who champion Caitlin Clark, ignoring the repeated actions of players and organizational missteps that fueled genuine controversy. Fans quickly recognized the disparity. Instances like Rakuna Williams' public statement, "We don't want you," directed at new supporters during Clark's rookie year, highlighted player hostility. Ryan Howard openly disrespected fans cheering for A'ja Wilson at an Atlanta Dream home game. Kalia Copper publicly reprimanded supporters for booing Dana Bonner, a former Fever player. These were blatant high-profile incidents contributing to league tension, yet White's critique targeted only those who actively supported Clark. The fan base began compiling evidence of hypocrisy. They argued that the toxic fans label was weaponized, a convenient deflection that ignored systemic problems. Fans were being punished for defending Clark, celebrating her achievements, and advocating for fair treatment. Meanwhile, actions by players and organizational decisions that genuinely contributed to tension were conveniently omitted from public critique. This selective focus created outrage. The very supporters who had elevated the WNBA to record-breaking viewership felt attacked. Calls for accountability were not just about criticizing White, they highlighted a broader issue: leadership selectively blaming fans while overlooking internal league failures is dangerous. The energy and trust of the fanbase, critical to league growth, cannot be dismissed without consequences. In short, White's statements ignited the most visible division the league has seen in years. Fans mobilized to correct the narrative, pointing to real toxicity created by player behavior and organizational mismanagement. This episode exposed a central flaw: leadership failing to acknowledge all contributing factors. While weaponizing the toxic label risks undermining the very foundation of fan trust and engagement. The WNBA now faces a pivotal moment. Will it protect the fans who sustain it, or will it prioritize optics and selective narratives? The narrative of fan toxicity is incomplete without examining player behavior. Several high-profile incidents show players themselves often fueled negativity. Enrique Agumbo publicly dismissed fans during Clark's rookie season. Ryan Howard, Kalani Brown, and others repeatedly clashed with supporters during home and away games. Public disputes, social media confrontations, and selective grievances created a combustible environment. Caitlin Clark's fanbase, largely responsible for the league's recent boom, but became the target of disproportionate criticism. This disconnect reveals a troubling pattern: players benefiting from Clark's presence and fan support, while publicly disparaging the very people who elevate the league. It's a clash between fandom and entitlement, where passion meets selective outrage. Critics argue that White ignored these critical dynamics, framing her comments as though fan toxicity was the primary problem. In doing so, she inadvertently amplified the perception of favoritism and double standards. Fans, feeling ignored and attacked, became more vocal, highlighting inconsistencies in coaching, player accountability, and organizational transparency. The league's recent surge in viewership and revenue is measurable and undeniable. Clark's arrival created the conditions for record-breaking attendance, heightened media interest, and lucrative sponsorships. Many of these successes were leveraged by players and teams who simultaneously criticized the fanbase. The contradiction is stark. The very supporters generating these opportunities were being labeled as toxic. Ultimately, the players' role in fostering friction cannot be ignored. Selective outrage, where only fans are criticized while internal behavior goes unchecked, exposes systemic flaws within the WNBA. The debate over fan conduct versus player responsibility has reached a fever pitch, making it clear that addressing the root causes of conflict is more critical than simply labeling one group as the problem. Fans now demand accountability from both players and leadership. Beyond players and coaching, the Indiana Fever organization itself has been under scrutiny. Reports surfaced of misleading injury updates about Caitlin Clark, contradictory public statements, and financial exploitation, all while capitalizing on her presence to sell tickets and generate revenue. Conflicting messages left fans frustrated, confused, and deeply distrustful of the league's transparency. Clark's health, game availability, and personal well-being were consistently obscured in favor of public appearances and marketing opportunities. This exploitation, combined with White's attack on fans, painted a concerning picture of how leadership prioritizes optics over ethical responsibility. Fans were being blamed for toxicity, while witnessing the very organization they supported manipulate information for profit. The new collective bargaining agreement further highlights the stakes. Clark's influence has directly enabled salary increases for players league-wide. Yet, very fans responsible for elevating Clark driving revenue and viewership were being criticized for behavior that, in comparison, was mild and constructive. It's a fundamental misalignment. Leadership and organizational actions benefit from fan engagement but simultaneously punish them for holding the league accountable. This mismanagement has long-term implications. Trust between fans and the league is a fragile asset. When leadership undermines the fan base while exploiting star players, the consequences ripple beyond individual games. It affects attendance, sponsorships, media relationships, and the WNBA's cultural credibility. Fans see it as a betrayal, prompting calls for transparency, structural reform, and accountability at the highest levels. The contrast is clear. The Fever and league leadership leveraged Clark's appeal while allowing misconduct and selective blame to dominate narratives. This organizational hypocrisy intensified fan outrage and contributed to the current crisis, revealing a profound disconnect between the league's rhetoric and actions. Caitlin Clark's arrival has had a measurable financial impact on the WNBA. Attendance skyrocketed, merchandise sales surged, and sponsorship deals increased. The fan base she cultivated became a key driver of league revenue, directly affecting the salaries of all players under the new collective bargaining agreement. Without her influence, these life-changing salary improvements would likely not have materialized. Yet, despite these facts, White's criticism targeted those very fans. This contradiction is staggering. The supporters who create the financial foundation for player salaries are labeled toxic while benefiting players are ignored. For fans, this is not just frustrating, it is an affront. Their loyalty, engagement, and investment are being weaponized against them, highlighting a misalignment between leadership rhetoric and the league's economic realities. The financial stakes make the conflict unavoidable. The WNBA's recent growth is unprecedented, and the pressure on management to maintain this trajectory is intense. By alienating Clark's fanbase, White risks jeopardizing revenue streams that directly fund salaries, marketing campaigns, and the league's long-term expansion plans. Fans are not passive, they are active contributors to the league's success. Ignoring this fact exposes poor strategic planning and a lack of awareness at the leadership level. This financial lens also emphasizes the inequity of selective criticism. Players reap the benefits of Clark's popularity, while fans are attacked for engaging with the league in ways that support its growth. The disparity fuels outrage, drives debate across social media, and amplifies calls for accountability. In the world of professional sports, ignoring such a critical economic engine while simultaneously undermining it is both strategically reckless and ethically questionable. White's statements exemplify a glaring double standard. Players publicly disrespect fans and ignore league protocols. Yet the narrative focuses on the behavior of the most loyal supporters. Black fans of Clark, along with other diverse segments, have faced racialized attacks and online harassment. Yet these systemic issues are consistently omitted from leadership discussions. The hypocrisy is undeniable. While the WNBA benefits from Clark's visibility, leadership fails to address misconduct, selective criticism, and exploitation of both players and fans. The toxic fan narrative masks the deeper issues, creating a smokescreen that allows real problems to persist unchallenged. Fans notice this. They compile incidents, reference game footage, social media posts, and news coverage, all pointing to a consistent pattern of neglect and misrepresentation. By deflecting responsibility onto the fanbase, White inadvertently ignited a conversation about fairness, transparency, and leadership accountability. Fans are demanding acknowledgement of the true sources of conflict: player behavior, organizational mismanagement, and inconsistent enforcement of standards. The WNBA's credibility now hinges on whether these issues are addressed comprehensively or allowed to fester. The response from fans has been organized, persistent, and relentless. Online campaigns, petitions, and social media movements have pressured the league to acknowledge these injustices. Fans are no longer passive. They are holding leadership accountable, demanding transparency, and refusing to accept selective blame. This mobilization reflects the power of engaged audiences in modern sports. Clark's fan base transformed the league's popularity, and they are now exercising their influence to demand ethical leadership. White's comments, rather than silencing dissent, have amplified fan activism, demonstrating that alienating supporters is counterproductive and dangerous. Fans are clear: loyalty cannot be exploited, and their passion cannot be weaponized. They seek structural reform, accountability for misconduct, and recognition of Clark's transformative impact. The WNBA faces a moment of truth: embrace its fans or risk long-term alienation. Ultimately, this controversy boils down to accountability. Stephanie White's divisive remarks have exposed fractures within the league, highlighting hypocrisy, selective criticism, and organizational mismanagement. Fans demand consequences. They want leadership that respects their role, addresses misconduct, and acknowledges the true drivers of league growth: the players, the organizations, and especially the supporters. The WNBA stands at a crossroads. Leadership decisions now will define its credibility, sustainability, and future cultural relevance. The passionate fan base that propelled Caitlin Clark to stardom and the league to new heights will not tolerate mismanagement or selective outrage. The message is clear. Fans expect fairness, transparency, and recognition. Ignore it at your peril.
Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more dives into Hollywood's hidden history.